I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Gerard Johnson. I'm a counselor in the General Counseling Department. I've been with Fresno City College since 2012. I've given myself a label of lead academic support counselor. Um, it's not a technical lead, my label, but I am the lead academic probation counselor, and now I'm also the lead of Early Alert as of last spring. So those of you who got used to Evie and the great services she was providing, now you have me. So here we go. Also in here is Ashley. Ashley, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley Ortiz. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. I'm the program specialist here in the General Counseling Department, Student Services. I have been here for almost about 2 years. I'm now the Starfish lead as of the end of fall of 2024. And now I'm, of course, assisting in the process for early alert and, of course, making sure that everything runs smoothly.
Okay, so Ashley's going to be helping me with this presentation because she's my guru when it comes to the technical aspects of early alert, some technical questions you may have, not just in this meeting, but throughout the academic year. Ashley is going to be a resource to us all. She understands the back end of Starfish, and she understands it from top down in terms of how the technology works. Okay. Before we get going, I know we're at various levels of comfort with early alert, and that's okay. Feel free to put in the chat if there's any pressing question that you have that you don't want to leave today without an answer. And I'll give you a moment to do that. Give us an opportunity to try to get to that. Before we step into the PowerPoint, I do want you to have three main takeaways from our communication, our talk today. One, for our instructional faculty and counseling faculty, what we're going to be working on this academic year is our communication. One of the things that works well for these early alert structures is frequent and efficient communication. But we want to hear from you all, what's the ideal format of communication that works for you? Should we create a Canvas page? Do you want us to have SharePoint? Do you want it just to be through email? What will we want that frequent communication to be? That way we can, oh, I see Canvas page as a vote there. But that can be a place where we can store information, we can message you from it. And that way, you know who are the people who are involved in. So when you're dealing with a flag situation, and you're like, oh, well, how do I do this? Hopefully you'll have some colleagues you can reach out to, but also you can have that resource like, oh, okay, I can reach out to Gerard. I can reach out to Ashley, or you know who your leads are in your pathway. You can reach out to such and such. So communication is key with early alert. Okay. So that's one takeaway. We'll get to that sooner than later to get your input.
We had a question that came up, and we'll definitely be going over that. Sylvia Flores asked a very important question. How soon after I raise a flag does a counselor reach out to students? So we'll definitely be going over that later on today. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
Thank you. I'm going to change my location in my house to get a better reception. Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one takeaway we have. We're trying to improve our communication. Um, is early alert going away? Uh, well, early alert can be processed through different systems. I know we're entertaining as a campus, as a district, working with different systems, possibly going away from Starfish. But those conversations are in play now, and those who are having those conversations are aware that we want to keep an earlier late alert system going. So, whether it's Starfish or something else, the idea is to keep early alert going. I haven't heard anyone say we're going to get rid of early alert. Did that answer the question, Sam?
Yes, I just thought when I meant early alert, I did mean starfish, not necessarily the early alert system that we have to communicate with students.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So keep coming with your questions. So that's one takeaway. We want to improve our communications or keep them, frequently available to you. And then the other thing is for those of you who are teaching classes and instructional faculty, you guys may be familiar, those of you who use early alert, that you're getting like 3 progress updates. Sometimes in the past, there's been 4 progress updates throughout the summer. Sorry, I just saw that throughout the semester. Um, what we're going to do is reduce that. There's going to be 1 progress update per section. Okay, just to reduce the clutter of it, to try to move towards more efficiency of even getting to that the earlier question of how long does it take. So keep in mind, you still can always raise flags throughout any time during the semester. Okay. And then the other takeaway is something very positive. Kudos. There is data showing that students are very responsive to kudos. There seems to be some correlations with success and kudos that has been showing throughout the data. And Ashley can talk about that some more. But those are 3 main takeaways. Our goal is not to necessarily have you leaving here and being a professional early alert in. That's the only communication with us. We want to improve our communication with you. And we want you to know that for those of you teaching classes, we're moving towards just 1 progress update survey during the semester per section. And we want to encourage you to use kudos if you're not doing so already, and let you know that those of you who are using kudos, good job, and it works well for our students. Okay. Now, Ashley, would you be able to pull up because I had to move location, I don't have a second monitor. Would you be able to pull up the presentation for us?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other lingering questions, feel free to just chime in and talk.
Gerard, David had a question.
Okay, David?
David, since are you able to speak? If not, I'll
Oh
go ahead and
yeah,
read your question. Great, thanks.
David Alvarez. Yeah, I've been using Starfish since the inception of it. I was kind of elected to start doing that for my department, and I've been using it, and it's gotten better. I'm not going to lie to you, but there's still some concerns on my part about Starfish follow up with students that are basically in trouble, and I request intervention, and it seems like it just drops through the pages. It doesn't get, we don't, it ends up being a no contact or no response from the student, whereas the student is on campus, he's in classroom face to face for 5 hours and 15 minutes. For me, that's kind of hard. I could see 1 or 2, but I had a counselor clear out 7 responses that I put in there as closed because of lack of contact for a student. And this was one of my issues back when they first started out too, was the follow-up on it. We used to have the besides everything else, you guys eliminated the consular intervention tab that used to be on there. That's no longer there. When it used to be just a quick click, requesting consular intervention on it. When they first had it out, that went away. And you just have what you have now, which I do the kudos with my students, and you're absolutely correct. The students love kudos. I get every time I do the kudos from them, they all give me responses back. Thank you, appreciate that. Appreciate you. Give me a thumbs up on it, and just everything. They do love that aspect of it. But the students that need intervention and need, counselor follow up because maybe they're not listening to me preach to them every day. Hey, you need to work on this. You need to do this. You need to do that. It's like you could drag that horse to the water well, but he's not going to drink it, right? So maybe if they hear it from somebody else, maybe that'll help. And sometimes they look at counselors like, that's like, administration's type of thing. So they're looking at it to try to get, seems like sometimes they get a response more. And that's just my concern right there, to be honest with you, with the starfish on that. I mean, other things of tracking the students, yes, it's absolutely, I think it's a great tool for helping instructors and everything and trying to get everybody on the same page to try to get the students that are not your A student or your B student that are teeter-tottering on a C or D level, to keep them engaged and keep them going if we see them slipping off a rock and starting to slide down the mountain, before it gets too far where they end up getting an F grade in the class. So
Yeah.
that was my only thing about it.
Thank you, David. That's exactly the type of input we need to hear. I'm going to answer this in a few different ways. One, that's the part of that communication we want to foster. It'd be nice if we can hear that real time, right? Like if it's been some time and you haven't had a response from the instructor. I mean, I'm sorry, from the counselor who's been assigned to, or the counselors has been assigned to. If you're comfortable enough to speak to, the early alert lead counselor in your area or in your pathway, or just reach out to myself or to Ashley so we can investigate and see what's going on. Because the more situations that's brought to our attention, the more information we have to make adjustments. The other answer I want to give to that is that's a common issue or concern for instructors, like closing the loop, right? Um, I'm sending this flag out. Is it being addressed? Am I getting communications about the attempts for it to be addressed? Is this worth my energy and my time, my efforts? People don't want to do things that just doesn't yield results. So that's just a common concern, and that's why one of the reasons why we're shifting to one progress survey a semester. Because one of the issues is, and I'm going to explain this in a long way, so bear with me, David, or those of you who are listening. Early alert to me is a communication tool. If we were a small liberal arts college to where, say, we only had these were all the faculty members of 50 people in a room and I'm the one counselor, we wouldn't necessarily need a system. You could just email me or you can call me or stop by my office, right? But we're not that small college. We're pretty huge, pretty big. In some respects, too big for our bridges. Nonetheless, we have to have some type of system. But with that, there's a lot of students we have. How many students we have this semester? 19,000, going up on 20,000. And numerous instructors. And yes, we do have a lot of counselors. That's another aspect to it in different areas across divisions, across, there's counselors under each VP, which they usually just back 20 years ago, just be under the vice president of student services. And most counselors were in general counseling or in the student service building. Now counselors are everywhere. So we have a lot of bodies, a lot of moving pieces. So what I see as a challenge we have is increasing our efficiency. So it's a matter of timing how we do things. It's a matter of structure, how we set up things to be able to respond, to give counselors opportunities to get their schedules set to be able to respond in a timely manner. But the more faculty who use early alert, great, we have engagement. But that engagement creates a good problem, which is we have more students who we have to try to reach. Then in addition to answering your question, you mentioned they're in the classroom 5 days a week. Well, we don't really know if they're attending. We don't see them 5 days a week, which is a unique perspective that the instructional faculty have. You see the students and you're trying to get them to drink the water, they're not drinking the water. And in some respects, it's the same horse. That same horse we're trying to reach over the phone and they're not answering the phone. or we're trying to reach them over email and they're not responding to emails. So while they may be in the classroom 5 days a week, that's great, but we don't go to the classrooms and point to the student and pull them out. Maybe there's some way we can communicate and come up with some ways to take advantage of them being here and have some system there, but we don't do it that way. But there's just a lot of different moving pieces. We have a lot of need. We don't have that many counselors, and we don't have counselors who are dedicated to doing early alert only. It's an additional task to our other assignments. So we have the high volume. We need to work on our efficiencies. And then we need to be creative and communicate about ways to better reach students and to follow up and closing those loops. I just said a
You
lot of
mentioned
words.
something.
Did I answer your question, David?
Yep, you did, sir. Thank you. What I'm going to try something a little different this semester myself. I'm going to try, once I start to initiate the process, I'm just going to send the student an email on there and tell him that you're going to be receiving an email that you need to respond to.
Okay.
I'm
Great
going to
idea.
do that and see if that changes anything with them on their end to see if we get more interaction with them if it's referred to a counselor.
And
Yeah.
and
It.
to make a note on all of that as well, just so that way we kind of go back to what Stephanie was mentioning in the chat as well. A lot of the students don't respond to their reach outs, to whether it be on a phone, like Gerard was mentioning, through email. So a lot of it, like you were mentioning, David, a lot of it goes back to the student not paying attention to their portal. All of these flags that actually do that you do send out, all of them except for general concern actually populates on their notifications. So they get it in several different ways, and the communication comes through the counselor and with the instructor. So it's really at a certain point, it would be on the student side to be able to reach out to us after those communication attempts. So unfortunately, it's not a perfect system. I don't think it will. Hopefully, I'm hoping that it will be at some point. But unfortunately, just because we are dealing with so many different pieces, and eventually it does come back to the student reaching back out to who contacted them. That's really what it comes down to. So again, the counselors, the instructors doing a great job in making sure that they get the resources that they absolutely need. And then of course the counselors doing the great job of reaching out to them, making those attempts. Ultimately, it really does come down to the student being engaged and trying to get the help that they are trying to get access to. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And in the end, it falls on the student. Absolutely. If
Yeah.
they're not doing their due diligence, well, we're just trying to guide them best we can. And, in the end, it is like, and that's what I tell them. I said, the bottom line is you're adult, it's going to land where it's going to land. I've tried to help you and you've done deaf ears. So you're going to get
Yeah.
whatever grade at the end of the semester that you're going to get.
Can I make a
Yeah.
suggestion for the instructors? We have students that change their phone numbers like some people change their socks. So when we as counselors are reaching out to these students, we send them emails. Everybody knows they're inundated with a bazillion emails, so they pay no attention. But the only number that we have is the number that's in the system. This number may be the original number they had when they were in high school. Meanwhile, they have changed it 7 times. And so we are leaving messages and people just don't get it. So if the instructors can say, hey, please update your information, it's so easy as going to A&R. And I like the idea about the instructor saying, hey, someone's going to contact you. That would help as well because we call and they don't answer. We send emails and they don't answer. And subsequently, the instructors see them every day because they may be sitting in their class, but we can only reach out to who we know or, when we see them. And they have a lot of things going on in their lives.
what I will say would be really helpful for the instructors as well is to make sure for counselors to also put every single attempt that they make to get in touch with the student. There is a section in Starfish for you to add a comment. So it's really important for them to also see that, hey, these are the attempts that we've done to try and get in touch with your student. Unfortunately, the student is non-responsive. So before it is resolved to student is non-responsive, it's really important for instructors to see what all the counselors have done to try and get in touch. So that also would be good for communication on both ends, right? Instructor does their part, counselor has done their part, and then it kind of shows why the resolution has happened.
Yeah, I totally
Yes,
agree with that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, go ahead. And another piece of, so I gave the example of like the small liberal arts college where there's more face-to-face or verbal communication. We can still tap into that a little bit when you instructional faculty members issue your flag and you see who they've been assigned to. You can reach out, particularly if there's a certain student for some reason that just, man, like I really want to know if this student has been, reached out or if I could help or whatnot. Um, we can keep the communication going. It doesn't just need to go into a box and the communication stops. I oftentimes will reach out to an instructor regarding a flag, just to get clarification as to, what's going on, some more details. Because sometimes, not to say that anyone in this room or this meeting does it, but sometimes we get the copy and paste flags. So, and it is not even like, student needs to go to tutorial, da da da. It's just student failing. And that's copy and pasted, and like 20 students get that flag. Well, we see that same repeat message. And it doesn't really give us details. Even if we do reach the student, we don't really have much to work with other than just try to pry with it. So there's situations to where we may be reaching out to instructors individually just to get more information, or even just say, hey, do you have another backup number for this student or anything like that? But that can go both ways. It's not magic. It's not just putting it in a box and then it just magically happens. It's still your flag. We're all on the same team and we're trying to support you and help you out. And understand instructional faculty get inundated with their work, and so do counselors as well. So what we're trying to do is reduce that inundation and work towards more efficient practices. And that comes to light with a more steady communication model.
Just for
Any
time purposes.
Yes. Any other questions that burning questions? Or are we just going to dive in? We're ready to dive in. We're ready to dive in. Okay. So Ashley, could you get us to the next slide?
Oh, went back. There we go.
Okay. So this is in general, I think people in here are pretty familiar with what early alert is. It's a communication system to help students with their progress. So the more we use it, the better. It matters because we have a diversity of students, and we do have support services. And sometimes, many times, when the students get access to that support service, it can and does make a difference. Yes, the students' efforts, motivation plays into this, but the more we tell them we're here, the more we offer support, the better chance for successful outcomes. Next. Okay. So this is the kind of the box talking about. So those of you on the instructional side, when you open that flag you started, it goes to, it depends on which type of flag. So we have two type of flags. We have our concern with your progress, general concern with your progress, your academic progress, and then there's your general concern ones. The ones that's more academic, the student also gets that flag. So it goes into the system, and that student also gets the flag immediately. But from there, it gets distributed through a process. So that can, if those of you who are wondering like how much time it takes, it can go through different, it goes through different hands. So someone in the counseling answer office sees those flags. They have to, again, this is administrative support people who have other tasks as well. So they have to pick a certain time of the day that they check it, or twice a day that they check it. So then they distribute those out to leads within pathways. So each year pathways that you're in, you have a counselor leading the alert. Go ahead. I'm sorry, what? Oh, this, okay, never mind. So you have leads who get those flags. Now, depending on the pathway and the size and how many students, they may run that differently. Some may keep the flag and work with it themselves. Many of us, particularly if like I'm the lead for CES or the lead for MSE, um, pathways that have a lot of students, they will get distributed out to other counselors to work. So as you can imagine, that distribution, there's like two prongs of distribution that adds time to response time. So then once it gets to the counselor who is that has to take care of it, then they will respond to the flag based off of when they have the time and ability to do so. And that can be emails, phone calls, and that's our main two approaches. Now, the general concern flags, those do not go to the student. And that's when those are cases to where it's something more psychosocial. Not that they're failing, not that they're struggling with a certain topic, that's academic. But say they come in, they just look really distressed and you're concerned and you have a specific concern about the psychosocial component with the student, then let us know that. Now, if it's an emergency, 911. If they if it's an issue where it's heavy mental health to where you're concerned with suicidal ideation or something like that, please, psych services is more appropriate for that. But other general concerns about their well-being, maybe they share with you that they don't have a home currently, or they have some domestic dispute. Whatever that is, please send us the details as to what's going on. That way we can handle that with care, the appropriate care.
I can't stress this enough in the comments to definitely put a comment in there. Be as detailed as you can. Obviously, that you have a lot of students that you're already managing, so having to do that with every single one is of course a big task. But again, as much detail as you can without going to deep paragraphs. Just because your counselor having that information, it's going to be helpful in the intervention.
Yes, yes. And then furthermore, as David mentioned, particularly with the general concern flag, but ideally if you can do this with all flags, let students know like, hey, there's been a flag sent out, a counselor is going to be reaching out to you, but especially with a sensitive matter. If a student shares something very sensitive with you and you don't share with them that you've reached out to someone else about this sensitive matter, when we call, that's just another layer of a potential boundary for us to kind of work through because we're cold calling them about a very personal matter. Whereas if they're aware that someone's going to be reaching out to them, that just helps out so much more. Okay. Any questions about what we talked about so far?
Let me go to the comments real quick. No. All right, would you want me to go over this way? So types of early alert. Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Types of early
Go
alert
ahead.
tracking items. There's 4 that instructors have access to and are able to do through not only the progress updates, but also manually throughout the semester. Could be fall, spring, or even during summer. I think someone was mentioning, are there counselors available during the summer? Yes, there are. Unfortunately, we have a lot of full-time counselors that are out just because of non-duty schedules. But we do have a lot of adjunct counselors, and we do have some full-time counselors as well. So the main one, of course, the very first one we always want to kind of go to first, have that positive reinforcement for our students is our kudos. Kudo allows instructors to provide students with positive feedback. Again, we have seen surveys with responses from our instructors and from our students that say that the kudos have really changed how the student responds, has changed how a student looks at their course, changes how they approaches the class. So again, those do help. The flags, this is meant to alert the student on course progress. So action can be taken from the counselor side, but also on the student side. So it kind of like gives them a sense of, hey, this is a concern that obviously I need to take more seriously. I need to either reach out to tutorial services or whatnot. And there's also the general concern flags, which, as Gerard already mentioned, those do not get seen, those general concern flags do not get seen by the student because they're a little bit more of a sensitive topic. It's to be more proactive with making sure that these students understand that we are trying to get ahead of them failing the class, of them going on academic notice. So it kind of gets us ahead of the game and tries to help them a lot more in the back end. Referrals, those are honestly, this is just FCC resources that we can give the students access to. So students can get referrals to a tutorial service, to our basic needs, to, of course, DSPNS. Sometimes, again, some of these students don't realize that these resources are available to them. You know, some of these are for free. So again, I'd probably say majority, if not most, are for free. So again, if there's any questions that you have about these referrals, just let us know. To-dos, those are more academic side. Those aren't something that anything that we'll be handling on the counselor end, but those are to-dos for academic, let's just say assignments that are due or whatnot.
Okay. So again, just what I already talked about, these general concern flags, DSPS flags, they did not go to the student. So these are sensitive matters. So we already covered that piece. We can go on unless there's any other. So we already talked about that we're going to only send one progress update per course. The idea is we're going to time that to be some weeks before the drop deadline, drop deadline for a W in the course. But instructors will still be able to manually raise flags, and hopefully this can help with our efficiency. Our classes have different scheduled times. They're not all 18 weeks or 9 weeks. But most of them are on the 18-week pattern. So what that would do is gives a key time to where we can really focus, like know that the flags are coming, and we can be prepared for those instead of them just coming in like multiple waves in the semester. Just for those of you who are not counselors here, and some of our counseling colleagues have mentioned this in the chat, it can be discouraging, to say the least, to have all these flags and not get feedback from students. So yes, on one hand, we do want the engagement with the system. On the other hand, we do have to look at the human factor of it, the toll of doing the work, and try to do that in the most efficient way possible. So that's what we're trying to move towards. Our colleagues that really do it this way, they actually have a higher percentage of instructor engagement. And again, for those of you who are an instructor and in here, and maybe you can speak to this better than I, but you would probably prefer to have better percentage of closing the loop than sending out a multiple progress surveys. But you guys can speak to that better than I can. But what we're trying to do is work towards a more efficient system that works best for all parties involved.
So the counselor hierarchy and communication flow, it starts with the instructor, and then the flag is raised. So again, faculty submits the flag through Starfish. The counseling team, of course, on our end, it's Jamie Nelson. He is amazing. He is the one that distributes our early alert flags to our different counselors based on the hierarchy of program and pathway. Now, once that's done, the intervention between counselor and student happens. So again, just counselors are assigned early alert flags by program and pathway, and these hierarchies, again, based on contact, are changed regularly per semester. Accessing Starfish and accessing your progress updates, it all starts, of course, through the My Portal. So you go to the My Portal, select Starfish. In the menu tab on the top left-hand side, where it's that little hamburger, which will show you, of course, what those screenshots look like in later slides. You'll go to the hamburger, go to the menu, and then underneath it'll have a student. It'll say students right there. You'll go to progress updates on the very right-hand side, and you'll select which progress update per course that you're going to be doing your progress updates on. Again, click those boxes and then click submit. Make sure that you add your comments. Comments are very helpful to our counselors. And then press submit. Once you press submit, you can't undo. So if you've submitted them and of course you're like, oh, I didn't want to do that for that student. They're actually doing great. Or, hey, I forgot to do this on this comment for this student. Just make sure that you check everything before the submit button. And there are extra resources. If you click into the search tab on our Fresno City website, you can actually type in early alert and it will pop up with, of course, the very first one is going to be the one you select. And there's an FCC Starfish resource page that it's, of course, needs to be updated, but for the most part, all of the information is very accurate. Okay. Any questions so far? Cool.
Before we continue, is there anyone in here? I know we might have. I don't know who's still with us, but anyone in here who needs like detailed description on how to use Starfish, like you've never used it before,
Like
particularly
you've never done a
instructional
progress
faculty.
update.
Yeah, you've never, because we don't want to bore you with things that you already know.
Yeah, raise your hand. That'd be great.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any hands raised, or is anyone seeing hands raised? We're not trying to out you or anything like that, by the way. It's just we just want to be efficient with your time and your energy.
Let me skip
So
through
you're
these and just kind of like see if anybody mentions anything. Probably unmute yourself.
okay. Yeah, seeing no hands raised. I saw some comments that people have used it.
Perfect.
So we can get through the instructor slides on how to access.
Yeah, these are just going over your tracking items that you'll be receiving. The kudos, technology, class inactivity, missing assignments, course withdrawal. That's going to be a pretty important one. Concern with course progress, all of that.
And by the way, and we've talked, and you can just kind of flip through these. Actually, while I'm saying this piece, we've had talks with a handful of instructors. We kind of had a small group put through with the Senate, and they did point out I don't know, it just doesn't make sense of the technology flag for students who don't have technology because they're likely the flag is using technology. So we do recognize that that's a gap there, but that flag still exists. Some of these things are district moved, but yeah, the idea is just to send information out. But yes, we do realize we're sending information out using technology, as opposed to for people who don't have access to technology. It's kind of going to the ether. Did someone put something in the chat? I don't want to miss it. What was that? So Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong. The kudos, I think they go to the students' emails. They don't land in Canvas. Is that correct?
It does not land in Canvas. Unfortunately, Starfish and Canvas, they are not linked, unfortunately. So everything will be sent to the student Starfish and it will actually go in their notifications page, which I can show you right now, actually.
So with that,
right here. So instead of it showing, Fresno concerned with attendance, it will show, it will actually show a kudos and it'll have like a green star with it. So it will actually be right here at the top, just in case a student doesn't check their email regularly, which who has issues with their students checking their email regularly? So that's where it will go to their email and also to their notifications page on their dashboard.
So that's a good distinction to be aware of. Thank you to the faculty member who brought that up to our attention. Juanita. So if you have some students who are not responsive to email or technology as well, but they're doing well in class, you may want to find another means to give them those kudos, maybe face to face, or
Something that this is something that I think we should review, just because we're going to be sending out a mass email and text message to our students. I think it's the second week or third week of the semester. It's to request assistance. This is accessible to students throughout the semester. And it's really important that we kind of understand that these requests are for referrals, and it will be going to those specific departments, like for basic needs, concerned about being homeless, concerned about feeding, being able to feed my family. There's also career and job requests. So this request assistance, this is on the student view side. This is not, on our faculty or classified side of Starfish, but all of this is accessible to our students, and they can request assistance, and those departments will again be notified, and they will reach out to those students. Almost just like early alert, but again, these departments, they specialize in this, and there is one person that's assigned to taking these flags. It's not like a program where, again, there's so many people that are handling that particular program. This is actually a department where they specialize in that. So just want to make sure you guys are aware. And just so that you know where to go, I know we're going over how to look to see where a student is in their progress of being contacted by the counselor. You can actually go in the student's profile by looking up their name. You can, of course, look them up by their student ID. When you do this, you can go click on their profile, excuse me, click on tracking, and then click on this flag. Once you do that, it will have a drop down of every single thing that's been done on this flag. Okay, so that's how you can do that.
Here, hold on.
Sorry, George, that's
I
the.
think someone's unmuted and they don't realize it. There we go. All right, so Ashley, could you go back, or just in the sense of tracking flags, I do want to bring it to our colleagues' attention that you can't close flags. You can close the loop. They're your flags. Because there's many times we reach out and then we get a hold of the student, and then the student tells us, oh, well, I already talked to the instructor and we already have a plan and so on and so forth, but we don't know that. So again, communication is most effective both ways. So if you raise a flag for some students and you have a good amount, you have students who have done what you need them to do, you got them connected to resources, they're back on track, and we're still trying to reach them. If you go ahead and let us know that that's closed or that's resolved, that can help out with the efficiency as well, because there's so many numbers we're dealing with. So if you guys can help us out by closing flags, that would save us time. Because imagine that student who's already, got it resolved and just not paying attention to our attempts. So that can be helpful as well. That was it, Ashley. I just wanted to.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. And honestly, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do have a question for you all in here. Some people did put in the chat their thoughts in terms of best way to have effective communication with our colleagues across campus regarding Starfish. I saw some votes for Canvas. Does Canvas seem like a good place for us to hold information, video tips, message out to faculty regarding, upcoming progress surveys? Like, does Canvas seem like a good tool for us to use to keep us on the same page? And I saw Canvas would be great from someone. Anyone? Okay, so let's see here. I got it from SF. Okay, ideas for how students handle student. I'm not sure what that's about in the chat, but I'm seeing a lot of
Sylvia, would you be able to clarify what you were mentioning?
Well, I'm getting a lot of good feedback for Canvas. And then I see, would it be a global announcement? Some things should be a global announcement, possibly like, hey, remember, this is a time when many of you will be receiving progress surveys and what they're for. And then reminder, you can still, do individual flags as well. Yeah. And I saw, some people wrote that's where you're at already. That's where you're at with your classes. And that's part of the reason too. And it seems like a model that people are comfortable with. And I know I prefer Canvas over, say, SharePoint in communicating with my colleagues and housing information. It just seems more user friendly and provides more things to do. Would do
Someone,
we
oh, sorry, Juanita was asking about how we would do that in Canvas.
Got you. We'll probably, and I'm thinking out loud, we'll probably build it. And again, this is going to be over this year. We're going to be working on building it. So for those of you who want to provide your input on how we're doing this, please let us know. We can reach out to you and get your opinions. But I'm thinking like a PIO announcement that it exists, and then the opportunity for faculty to join it. And it can be public. You can go ahead and get in there. So you can join it and you can receive the messages, or you can just know it exists and you can just go to it and get from there what you want without getting the messages. I think when working with our instructional faculty colleagues, the more flexibility, the better. Did that answer the question?
Can I'm just wondering, because I know there's like a help button on the side for the navigation. Would you put it there? Because I get those little, notifications there, and you can like click on stuff there. I'm just wondering, how would it look? I don't think it would necessarily be a module per se, right? Or like, like a where we can, as faculty members or staff, can go to like a virtual
Hub?
section where you can go and get help there. Is that what you're
Mm.
thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Something like that. And then because we've Ashley and I have shaped something like that for our students who are on academic notice, have academic struggles, and we kind of have a page with buttons, and then it just goes to certain pages for information. So, if you're like, okay, how do I raise a flag? You can go to the page on that,
I see.
or who are my um lead counselors in my pathway, then we can update that there, and you can go to that and get that information.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because like I was saying earlier, I noticed there's like a starfish um, navigation hyperlink to the left. And you can either in your settings, uh, allow it to be there, or you can disable it, or, enable it, or you can
Mhm.
disable it. And I clicked on it, it just takes you out to a external link. So I don't know if the option was going to be where it would stay within Canvas. I think that would be cool. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
that's exactly what we want you to do. Yes. So yes, the idea would be it would be in Canvas. It would be housed in Canvas. It stays in Canvas. And those and Ashley can correct me where I'm wrong, but those starfish links, that's more generic use of starfish. But we may want to house information like, okay, here is a PowerPoint slide that you can provide to students on the first day of class, explaining what early alert is. And we can build that specific for, you know, our campus, you know, those different promotional things. So just different things that come up to where we can help each other when we're having these conversations and we're communicating. We can come up with some quick tips or some things to help us with this campus and how we use it. So it, you know, there's going to be some things that we want to be specific to Fresno City College, not just general early alert tips.
Good
Does
point.
that make sense?
Yes, that totally makes sense. Good point. I usually don't mention it to my students. So after attending this, I'll have it like what is it called? You know, good of the business, good of the campus business. I always talk about things that's happening on campus. This could be one of those talking points from my class at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, starfish, you know, just kind of introducing a little bit. And if you're posting some more information where I could share with students, hey, you know, I'll be using it. You may see some, you know, if you see something, this is what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm really concerned about your success. Don't take it other than that. You know, I've never thought about talking about it, but I guess I could do that.
Yeah, it's okay to talk about it, and quite frankly, we can do a better job as a campus informing our students about it, informing our students about starfish use in general. Um, but yes, yeah, so yeah, to share that would be really good.
The topic of early alert shouldn't be taboo. We should be, you know, thinking of it as just being there for our students, being supportive, being able to be that resource for them that knows all the answers, but they just have to ask or they just have to be willing to take help because sometimes students don't like to take help. And that's okay.
Gotcha.
Sometimes our pride gets ahead of us and they just really need to understand that their success is the whole campus's success.
And the messaging that comes from Starfish, I don't think they've changed it or was able to address, and Ashley, you can correct me on this. It's embedded in the email Starfish Solutions or something to that effect. So if students don't know what Starfish is or not comfortable with it, then that's just an email that just gets overlooked. So that's something to educate our students about. Hey, this is what this is. So don't be afraid of it. This is for you.
Hanukkah had a,
Veronica,
yeah,
yeah.
Veronica.
Oh, hey there. I just received more information from Sylvia Flores. I know she asked a question regarding students reaching out to her or saying that they have. So just wanted to bring it to the group's attention because it looks like Sylvia's looking for some ideas on how to handle students who speak to counselors. Counselor reaches out and says, your student, let me know that they've connected with you, they've spoken with you, and everything's sort of worked out, but the student actually has never spoken to the instructor at all. So Sylvia is looking for some feedback as to how to handle those types of situations.
Well, that's where kind of back to that small community or liberal college model comes in, um, right? Students, the counselor's reporting that the students tell them one thing that's different than what you see. So then you can come back and talk to the counselor. Hey, actually, I haven't heard from this. I mean, we haven't had this conversation. You know, that's not accurate. Um, so if the student is attending, right, then you could talk to the student about that. Hey, the counselor reached out and the counselor came to the understanding that we've talked, but we haven't, and I would really like to talk to you about your success. And then also you can share that with the counselor, and then, we can do something different with the flag, or this counselor could reach out. But again, um, I do want us, and I know it's hard because there's so many of us. I do want us to get away from the putting information into a box and things happening, and get into communicating with each other and be comfortable with communicating with each other. So my answer to that would be communication. Communicate with the instructor, communicate with the counselor who's been working on that, communicate with the student, and take it from there. Did I answer your question? Or did it raise more questions?
I,
Yes, thank
I
you.
want to
Okay.
go I want to go back to this slide just because I think it will also help. All of the flags that a, an instructor has already raised, they receive a notification of the resolve. So just make sure on the counselor side that when you do put, check this button where it says student responded to communication attempts, just make sure that you put in your comments that the student informed counselor that they already spoke with instructor and the instructor and them are on the same page, or however you want to phrase that. But it's really important that you put that in there because that will kind of have an alert with the instructor reaching out to this person who resolved this flag. Hey, I never spoke with this student. And that will, of course, be another thing that we can address after that. But just make sure that that comment, same thing goes with the counselor. Make sure you, of course, put why it was resolved.
Yes, and I saw that. Yeah, online is hard. It's challenging. We got students from all over the state, some students from out of the state taking our online classes. So we just do the best we can. Reach out to the student again. But it kind of goes back to that earlier comment. The students we can take them to the water. We can't force them to drink. But yeah, just still let us know because if that counselor was able to reach them, they answered when the counselor called. Maybe if that counselor calls again and they pick up, they can have that conversation. But the key is communication, and yes, it's even more challenging online. We have unique challenges to navigate, but the key is for us to work with each other and do the best we can, put our best foot forward. Any other? Where are we at? Do we end? Are we done? Is it time? 10:30? Sorry, I should
10:45.
10:45. Okay,
So I think we're ahead of time.
we're ahead of time.
Yeah.
I know people are excited about that. Yes, you will get full credit. But again, back to our three main takeaways we wanted you to walk away with. One, keep using kudos. If you're not using kudos, please use those. Those have a positive effect. Keep in mind that those kudos are communicated only through email, so it isn't sent to the student a different way. So be mindful if you want to employ some creative ways to make sure the student receives those kudos outside of just the emails. We're only going to be sending one progress survey. That is to try to help with our efficiency, to try to help close the loop. And then try to help close the loop. And then the other thing is, I lost the other thing because I saw a chat. We want to communicate better. We want to have it open for your input. We want to regularly communicate with you. So based off of this meeting, Ashley and I likely going to go ahead and start working towards building a Canvas page to have a house for information, quick tips, and a means to communicate with us when things are going. And thank you, David, for your example earlier. If you have those moments, please try to communicate with us real time. It may be something that we can be doing better, or it may be just students being students. But we never know until we communicate and problem solve and put our best foot forward and give ourselves grace and understand that's the best we can do, is the best we can do. Anything else? Okay. Well, if there isn't any burning questions, or me and Ashley would hang out a little bit, but you guys are free to go. I won't tell that you left early.
Thank you,
But if
everyone.
anyone wants to hang out and have a burning question that they didn't want to ask in front of other people, you can do that. But thank you all. Appreciate your time. Have a nice day.